Thank you for joining this webinar about the normalization suite in Primo VE. This session is actually a summary of all the normalization options that Primo VE has. Over the years, we developed the normalization tools piece by piece, and now it's the time to present the full suite of the powerful and easy to use tools which actually give you the ability to control the presentation of your data. It also gives you the ability to extend search queries and offer additional facets to tweak the results. So what we will cover in this session? We will start with the manage local fields, the ability to create local fields for various options. We will talk about the normalization of out-of-the-box display fields. I also would like to show you the way to translate facet and display values, which comes actually from the Bib as a code, and there is a way to translate it and verbalize it for the users. Also, an option of indexing of external full text as part of the normalization suite. And the last topic will be the local resource type option. So let's start with the manage local fields. So every institution has its own unique information in the bibliographic records, and there are fields and information that library would like to present for the users, to open the ability to search on this information, and also to present it as an additional facet to tweak the results. For this purpose, we have the ability to add local fields in Primo VE. We have a list of out-of-the-box fields, and if you have additional information, you can create local fields based on your need. We have the ability to create up to 50 local fields, and we provide two mapping methods when creating the local fields. We will explain both of them, and I would like also to demo and show you how to create those local fields. So the first method is creating the local field from bibliographic local field mapping, and the second option is a normalization rule. Let's start with the bibliographic local field mapping option. This method provides a closed list of bibliographic local fields. If you you can see here in the local field configuration page that you have a list of all the in this example, Mark 21 fields, which actually the local bibliographic fields. The list contains the 9x6 fields, 5x6 fields, 69x, etc. All the fields that are defined in the mark as a local. And when this field is defined in the creation of the local field, we actually take the full field and use it for your need, including all the subfields. So if you select, for example, 955 field, we will take all its subfield for search, display, or facets. And what the formats that we support in this method is actually all the formats that Alma supports, all the Mark family, Mark 21, Unimark, CoreMark, and CNMark. We have a list of for every mark type. And we also support the mapping for Dublin Core records. This is by using the parallel Dublin Core local fields. You have in the configuration, there is an option to enable the checkbox of use a parallel local field from the Dublin Core record. So, for example, if you create local field 01, Primo VE local field 01, and this checkbox is selected, we will use the Dublin core local field 01 and take it as part of this local field. So actually, we support a lot of formats in this option. And the advantage and the really powerful normalization and tool of this tool is that this configuration is applied to the user interface immediately. You no need to recalculate the data or invoke any job or action after that. Just few minutes to configure, and then it's available for the users in the Primo VE interface. Let's demo this method. So what I would like to do is to create local field for donation. First, let's go to the discovery area, discovery configuration. In the manage display and local fields, I can create, add a field, add a local field. And what I would like is to create donation a field which will be available for display, for search, and also for Facet. Though this local field should be taken from several marked local fields. The first one will be 933. We also, as a library, hold this information in 936, 35, and also in 936. So I would like all of those fields to be included as part of donation, display, Facet, and search field. Then save. And what the next step that I would like to do is to add this field to the view for the users. So we have several locations that I would like this field to be displayed. In the advanced search, in order to give the ability for user to search on this specific field, so I'm adding this donation field to the advanced search. I also would like to add it in the Facet list. So I'm adding the local Facet donation. And the last action that I will do in the view is in the details, I also would like to present this donation field in the full display. Okay, so great. Now we actually finish the configuration and then go to the view, to the Primo VE. Let's search for any term that I know that one of this is one of the record contain this information. So I search for business law, and you can see here the results. Let's check the Facet area. You can see in the bottom of the Facet area the donation field. This donation Facet. This is actually the Facet that we just created now, and it includes several Facet values. I would like to find the record with this information, and I see that this book contains this donation information. Let's open it, and in the details section, you can see that this information also presented for the users in the full display. We actually, this record contain all this information. We can see also in the source record, you can see that we have all the fields that I just defined in the local field, and all this information is presented in the facet and also in the full display. I would like to see if I can search by this value as I defined. Actually, I enabled this field also for search. So let's make a search for this value in donation local field. And you can see that I find this record immediately. So as you can see, it's a few minutes of configuration, and this field is available for the users. This is available for search and for Facet immediately because we index all the mark local fields, all the fields that are actually in the closed list of the fields. We index them in advance when we index the record. So this actually available for use. It's not in use until the local field configuration is defined, but it's available. So once it's defined as a local field and enabled for search or for Facet, it can be used immediately. So this is actually the first method that we have as part of the local field configuration. Let's see what we have as a third method. We have the normalization rule, which gives you the ability to create local fields from all the bibliographic fields, and it's available for display, search, and Facet. You can see here in the local field configuration page that we have normalization rule for display and normalization rule for search and Facet. What are the normalization rules? Normalization rules use the rules language, the same language that is used by ALMA. So ALMA librarians that use the normalization rules with the rules actually know the syntax and how to define, and the flexibility of this language and the options that it provides. It gives the ability to define conditions, actions, regular expression, very flexible tool. So we use also the same syntax. There are some specific differences, small differences between us and ALMA, but in general, the concept and the syntax is quite the same. You can see here that when starting to define normalization rule for local field, there is a template of the normalization in order to assist in the creation of the normalization rule. There is the base syntax and structure of the normalization rule, and you can add or edit the relevant based on your need. This is an example, quite simple example of normalization rule, and you can see that we have a syntax of how to write the conditions, actions, etc. We have documentations about the syntax and the way to write the normalization rule, and also examples that we gather from the field, and also add more and more examples of rules in order to give you the ability to see previous examples and previous rules that were created by customers or by us. So you are welcome to use this link in order to see how to write the normalization rules. So as I said, we have normalization rules, and they can be used for display or for search and Facet. And we have for each option, we have its key functions. There are several differences, and I would like to present both options and explain what is the difference between the way to define normalization rule for display or for search and Facet. So the first option is the normalization rule for display. which can be used as a combination with both methods. You can create a bibliographic local field mapping and also use normalization for display. So if, for example, you would like to present a field with specific subfield and also use this field for search and facet, you can use it as a combination. I will also show you a real example of how to create this. I will show you in the coming slides. And it can be, as I show you in the previous slide, it can be a combination with a normalization for search and facet. So you can create local field for display and for search and facet with both options of normalization rule. And a normalization rule for display are applied to the user interface immediately. We calculate and use the normalization rules that customer create, customize in real time in the search time. So no need to recalculate the data. It's just to create the normalization rule, apply the rule, and then you can immediately use it in the discovery in Primo VE. Regarding the normalization rule for search and facet, it can be used only as a combination with the normalization rule for display. And we allow to define up to 10 such local fields. There is a separate configuration to control the local fields that should use this option, the normalization rule for search and facet, and only those local fields will be, the option of this normalization rule will be available for those local fields. I will show you this setup, how to set it and exactly how to define those normalization rules. You have to know that once you create the normalization rule using it for search and facet, it requires recalculate of the data. So the meaning is that when you create the normalization rule and you are good with the results, with the test tool, I will show you, you have to create to create a case for support, for our support, in order to recalculate the data. So after the recalculate will be completed, then the normalization rule, this local field will be available in the interface. And we will have the test tool, which it will be available from July release. I will show you how to use it in our internal environment, but you can create the normalization rule, test it, and when you are good with the results, to recalculate the data. So what I would like is to demo how to create the local field with this method. In our example, I would like to create a new field for audience information. And this is information, it also should be displayed for the users, available for Facet, and also available for search. So if I just open the local field, any local field, you can see that I don't have the option to create normalization rule for search and facet. As I said, it's managed and controlled in a separate configuration. So we have under other, we have a dedicated configuration for this. And in this example, you can see that I already defined several local fields that can be used with the normalization for search and facet method. We can add an additional one. Let's add the local field 6. So now when I will try to create local field 6, I can see that this option is available for me. I have both options, both normalization rules options. So let's create the local field. I would like it for search and facet and also for display. And I have the option to create the rule. So this is the template that we have. The audience information is cataloged in my data in 385 subfield A. And the same is, I just will write the rule. And you can see here that for display, we have LDS. This is a local field code. Now the validation of the syntax is done by the system. And the same will be also for search and facet, the same rule. So I will just specify the field to take the value from. And now what I would like to show you is the test tool. I know about a record that cataloged with this information with the 385, and it contains the historian value. So how the test is working? Let's click on the test. So first I can specify specific MMS ID if I know in advance, or I can search for any field in ALMA. This is the record that I know that contain this field with the historian value. I selecting this value, and then I can see the result. I see the normalized local field. So we have the local search field 6 with the historian's value, and this is my expected. So now I know that after the recalculate of the data, all the data will get, all the records will be indexed correctly with the relevant information. And the next step will be to add this field to all the relevant for in the advanced search, in the facet, and also for display. For display, you can add it for now because it's available and it's applied immediately for the users. Only for search and facet, you have to wait until the recalculate of the data will be completed. So this is actually an explanation about the normalization rule method in the managed local field. And what we have now is in one slide a comparison of the method in order to give you best practice and understanding when to use each local field. You have the option. You have two options, and you have to decide when to use every option. So this slide actually can help you to decide and get correct decision what is the correct method to use. So in the bibliographic local field mapping, it's actually from closed list of local fields. It takes the full mark tags and it applied immediately, which is very meaningful thing to take into account. The normalization rule gives you the ability to use all the mark tags and give you the flexibility to use it with conditions, any tag, any subfield, etc. For the display normalization rules, as we said, it will be applied immediately, but for search and facet, it requires a calculate of the data by opening a case to support. The next slide is a comparison of the method, but in terms of consortia. So we will just I will just explain what is the difference between both of them, which actually relevant for consortia only. So bibliographic local field mapping can be used in parallel by all the institutions. Each institution can set up the local field independently. Every institution can use it with a different setup in parallel, and there is no effect one on the other. There is no conflict. This is about the first method, and the normalization rule for display is actually the same. There is no conflict. You can use any any institution can use independently any setup in the display. For search and facet, if the definition of the normalization rule is common and done by all the consortia in the same normalization rule, then it can be shared, and all the institutions, the consortia, can create use the same local field. In case there is a unique institution definition, it should be set up in a separate local field and not in the same local field as other institutions. Those slides, we have a couple of slides that give some use cases also in order to give you the ability to understand it correctly and the correct way to define the local fields. We will not go over all those use cases. I will just mention part of them, but you can see the full use review the full use cases in the presentations that we will send to you. So let's see what actually those are real cases from customers and the real needs. There was a need for institution to search for formatted content notes, which actually is stored in field 505. This actually field that is defined as a mark local field. So you can create local field by using bibliographic local field mapping. It will be enabled for search and available for the users immediately. In the second use case, we have a situation of National Library that would like to give the ability for the user to search for place of publication, which is taken from 230 and 60 subfield A and 264 subfield A. Because those fields are not part of the mark local fields, for this situation needed to create local field by using normalization rule and enable it for search, and this require recalculate of the data. And we have some additional information. Also, a customer wanted to display UDC field, which is taken from 080 field subfield A. This is actually not a mark local field, but it's for display. So you can create local field by using normalization rule for display, and it's applied immediately for the users in the Primo VE. No need to recalculate the data. Let's see this use case. In this use case, customer would like to give for the user the ability to search for acquisition from field 541, and also would like to present acquisition in detail section, but it should be taken from the same field, from 541, but only from subfield A and D. So for this purpose, need to use a combination of the bibliographic local field mapping for search and normalization rule for display. So in our example, we have the local field. You can see that if 541 field is selected and the local field is defined as enable for search. And for display, there is a rule in order to present for the users only subfield A and D. So this is the way and the use case to use combination of those both methods. Those are use cases for Consortia. We can, let's see, one example, one use case. In case all the institutions in the Consortia would like to search for a DOI category, and this actually is not marked a local field, but need to be created by using normalization rule. But because all the institutions, the consortia, would like to use the same rule, you can create the same local field in all the institutions, and all of them can use a normalization rule for search and facet with the same rule, and indeed it requires a recalculate of the data. We have some additional use cases for Consortia. You can use it, review it after. The next, actually what we spoke about is the managing of the local field. The second option that we have is the ability to normalize and refine the display of the out-of-the-box fields. We have in the system in Primo VE the normalization, the out-of-the-box normalization, how to map the bib to the Primo VE display. And there are scenarios that institutions would like to modify the display of the fields, add more information, remove information, split them to several fields, etc. So we give the ability also to edit the out-of-the-box display fields. So by this option, there is an option in the define display field. There is an option to select from a list the field to edit, the one of the our out-of-the-box display field, and then you can see the normalization rules that the system use. This is the list of all the rules that the system uses in order to map the bib to the display field, the Primo VE display field, and you can edit it, remove rule, you can modify the specific rules, etc., based on the needs. I would like to demo it. It's also applied to the user immediately. No need to reload the data, just define, and you can see it reflected immediately to the users. So let's see first the relevant record that I would like to, based on this, edit the normalization rule. So we have the record, and we can see that it was cataloged in 700 for contributors with two subfields. We have subfield A and subfield E with a contributor indication. Let's see how we actually map this information and display it for the users. So as you can see here, we have the creator, which actually configured to present also contributor, and you can see that both contributors are presented with both subfields A and E. What I would like to do as an institution, I don't want to present subfield E, just subfield A. So how I can do that? So let's go back to the discovery. In the Manage Display and Local Fields, we have the option to add a display field. Here I can select the relevant field that I would like to update. In my case, it's a contributor. And when editing this rule, you can see here that all the mappings that we defined as out of the box is presented, and you can see what is actually what the system actually does. I would like to update the rule about the 700, and I can see here that indeed subfield E is taken and presented in Primo VE. So I just delete the subfield E and save. Very small change, but a lot of changes can be done. And I have to apply the rule in order to give so the system will start use this rule in the in calculation of the search in the search time. Okay, so the rules are applied, and then just refresh the page, and you can see that actually this rule that I just defined a minute ago is applied in the Primo VE. We have the creator, we have both contributors, but subfield E is now not displayed. So this is the second option we have about the display normalization of display fields. An additional option that I would like to present to you is the option to translate facet and display values. This option is available as part of the local field configuration. If we will go back to the local field configuration, you can see here that we have the use translation option. So we are talking about this and this functionality. So what it does, there are scenarios that institutions cataloged in the bib values as a codes, but in the interface for the users, they would like to translate it per interface language and verbalize those codes. And for this purpose, we have this functionality. In our example, you can see that in the bib code, in the bib, we have the code, we have the conf, for example, but I don't want to present this code for the users. But when this checkbox is checked and in the code table, we have those translations, we have this code with the relevant translations. The system knows to look for this code in the code table and then present the relevant translation in the interface. In this example, you can see that it's presented in the facet values, but it can be the same also in the display of the record. So we have translation for English and for French, and you can see that based on the interface language, the value is different. So this is also an additional option for normalization. We also have the option as part of the local field configuration to create local field for full text indexing. This option is enabled and support indexing of full text that is externally held. On the record, on the bib record, there should be a link URL to the full text. You can see here example, we have the field and the URL to the full text. And when this local field is defined to use the full text link for indexing, the system actually use this URL, fetch the full text, and index it so it will be available for search. We support the several file types, the PDF, TXT, and HTML, and the index mechanism actually index up to 10,000 words. After removing the stop words and the additional words or HTML tags, and this is done during the indexing process. And the last option that we have as part of the normalization suite is a creation of local resource type. There are institutions that have unique data and they would like to present this unique data in a separate or a unique resource type. We have actually a list of out-of-the-box resource types, and there are several needs to create and to extend the Discover resource types for the users, which will be relevant to be displayed on the item itself, also available in the Facet and available for search. So we have the ability to create local resource type for this purpose. So this is actually the page to create a resource type, and what we support two options to define the local resource type. It can be by specify value from bibliographic field and subfield. You can mention specific field and the subfield and the values that can be used as identify for this local resource type. So if record fit this condition, it will get this local resource type. And for leader and fixed fields, which actually don't have a subfield, we have the option to create the local resource type by using regular expression. Once, and I will show you the configuration in 1 minute. Once this local resource type is defined, you can see on the relevant records this resource type. For display, it's applied immediately. But in order to give the ability to facet by this resource type or search by this resource type, need to execute the recalculate local resource type job, which actually first need to create a set with all the relevant records that should get this resource type and run this job with this set. So once this job is run and is executed and completed, this local resource type will be available for search and facet. One comment about the consortia. Once in case this local resource type, it should be defined for records that are in the institution level and linked to the network zone, then need to create this local resource type in both in the institution and also in the network. In case the record is defined is a local record, it exists only in the institution, then the local resource type can be defined in the institution zone level only. So let's demo and see how we can configure the local resource type. In the discovery, we have local resource types option. Let's see existing configuration for puzzle, for example. So we have the ability to define the label for singular, which will be used to be presented on a specific record. And there is also label for the plural, which will be used for the facet. And you can also translate it by the globus. For the mapping, we have the mapping from MARC records, which is supported for all the MARC types. You can specify any field from any MARC type from the MARC family, MARC, UniMARC, etc. And in our case, we defined the MARC field 999 with subfield A, and when this subfield contains the value, this value, the record should get this puzzle local resource type. We have also the option to map from Dublin Core, so you can specify the tag and also the value in the Dublin Core. So this will be applied for Dublin Core records also. And the second option is to create by using regular expression. So let's see, for example, I would like to create a music resource type. The singular will be music and the plural will be musics. And I would like to use regular expression and take the value from the leader. And this will be the regular expression, which actually say in the leader place 6, in case the value is C, D, I, or J, define the record as a music resource type. So those are the two options that we have in order to create local resource type. Okay, so thank you for joining our session. You are welcome to use the tools which we presented in this webinar. If you have questions, you can send to me by using this email that you can see here. And we will be happy also to get your ideas about more options that you think that will be powerful and you are interested in this area. So have a good day and thank you for joining and enjoy this normalization suit in Primo.
Thank you very much, everybody, for joining. We have no other questions, so that concludes the session. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
Thank you.